Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by, always, Johnny Felder with me here by my side. And, here we are, another Friday, another week of great, exciting college football we have for you guys. Really excited to get into this week's slate of games. But first and foremost, got to go over our games we predicted last week and kind of see how we fared and see how the teams fared that we predicted. And I will say, Johnny, I think this was our best week yet.
I feel
personally, I went 5-0 in my predictions. Johnny went 4-1. So, hey, give us our credit where our credit is due.
Yes.
We are on it. No, it was I think I will say this week had some of the more clear-cut matchups. For me personally, if we want to start with going into the Texas-Vanderbilt game, it wasn't not as clear-cut on paper, so to say, but this is just one I did not see Texas losing by any stretch of the imagination. And, I say that, but, Texas got off to a hot start, rather. I think they were up like 24-10 at half, and Vanderbilt actually stormed back near the end of the game, made it close. Crazy, almost got an onside kick there at the end to get the ball and maybe win the game, but didn't happen that way. But either way, it was a great game. It's just what I expected, though. I did not expect Vanderbilt to go out and beat Texas, even though Texas has had a little bit of a rougher season. But at the end of the day, like I said in our predictions, I think they're still the more talented team. I think they showed that.
Mm-hmm. So, honestly, about that game, I really feel like what we said last week came into fruition, especially with how the game went for Texas and how they wanted it to go. This was their bounce-back week. As Archie Mayne said it in the media this week, pretty much they're back at home. I feel like they needed this confidence, this booster pretty much, and they're going to go up in the rankings off this game alone. And for Vanderbilt, it could literally plummet their playoff chances. You never know, though, what the playoff committee is thinking in their heads right now.
Yeah, I mean, huge for, like you said, playoff implications. If Vanderbilt were to go out and get this win, that would have been a huge stepping stone to getting there. While, they're still in it. Both of these teams are actually still in it with only 2 losses for both of them.
Right.
I think we've kind of seen, especially with last year, that the kind of cutoff is 2 losses.
Yeah.
So I don't think either of these teams can really afford another loss.
Right.
But with that being said, they both are still in it.
All right. My question to you is, do you feel like the college committee will eventually move up to a 3-loss system in the near future?
Well, I think that comes with, are they going to expand the playoffs more?
Right.
I've heard talks of going to a 16-team playoff.
Yeah.
If that is the case, yes, I do think a couple could squeak in.
Right.
But, I mean, it just depends. It's a year-by-year thing. I mean, if we look at this year and there are, 9 or 10 teams with 1 or 2 losses, I completely understand not giving a 3-loss team the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Some of the big ones last year, like South Carolina, Alabama,
Illinois,
Missouri, not Missouri, Ole Miss,
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to give them the benefit of the doubt over an 11-1 team like SMU, although many thought,
they weren't ready.
Those SEC teams I mentioned were clearly better, but it's just the way the ball rolls sometimes, But as far as your question, like I said, I don't really see it in this current climate.
Right.
Like I said, I could see it happen with a 16-team playoff or, whatever they expand it to, because Lord knows how far that's going to go. But moving on, I want to get into Florida versus Georgia. Once again, obviously predicted Georgia. I believe you predicted Georgia.
Who didn't predict Georgia for this win?
Kind of a lot of these games weren't exactly about how I thought they would and how I predicted them.
Right.
I knew this would kind of be a slugfest for most of the game, and it was. And, eventually, obviously, Georgia kind of pulled it out, got the win. It's one of those things. Florida's so down and out right now without their head coach. And they're just scratching and clawing for some wins to get this team going.
Right.
And then on the other side, Georgia's just trying to stay, not make these big critical errors and have this big key loss, because in the SEC you're always you're always going to have these games you lose you shouldn't.
Right.
Or if you want to call them trap games, yeah. But this Florida-Georgia rivalry, this is one of those ones where regardless of the skill of each team, regardless of your record, it's always going to be close.
Right.
It's always going to be a hard-fought win for whoever wins. And you saw it this week. Ultimately, I just think Kirby Smart and his team is just more talented. I think they're more well-coached. I think they're more disciplined. People can throw out there a few controversial calls, stuff like that. But ultimately, it went about how I expected. And, Georgia went out and got a much-needed win. Much needed for the fact, like I said, you can't go out and be dropping games like this at this point of the year.
I definitely agree with you on what all you said pretty much. You pretty much just spoke everything that I wanted to say pretty much. But no, I really believe Florida alone as a team is really struggling, and they honestly need a coach. And like I said, it's just one of those games that Georgia shouldn't lose or even really have a slugfest with. I watched the game. I kind of turned it off after the second quarter. I'm not going to lie to you. It was just really just that game for me.
Yeah.
But overall, though, Georgia got the needed win pretty much, and hopefully they can continue to win out this year, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll see. But moving on to Indiana versus Maryland, this one went about like we expected. I mean, I don't know what Kurt Signetti has done to them boys over there in Indiana, but I mean, they were just rolling. Absolutely rolling. Some people believe they should be the #1 team in the country, and I can't argue with that.
I'm not gonna lie, like I really
their
believe
resume
it.
speaks for itself.
55-10, man.
Yeah, I mean. What more can you say about that? I think we all saw what happened, and we weren't shocked either.
It was just murder.
Yeah. I mean, but they've been doing that all year. Look at earlier in the year what they did to Illinois.
Yeah.
Going out and beating Oregon. Just I think they have the best resume in college football to this point.
Especially for their defense also. I remember during one of our earlier episodes when we had predicted Illinois and Indiana, and I predicted Illinois, and Indiana came in Illinois and beat them down.
Yeah.
And it was just like one of those moments like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean,
these boys ain't nothing to play with now.
No. And, I think at first, obviously I was a little doubtful, a little skeptical, especially last year. They kind of had more of that cakewalk schedule, although they started out, I believe, like 9-0, 8-0, something like that.
Right.
Lost to Ohio State, but this year, they've kind of flipped that narrative on its head. They are the one to go out and beat. They're not just cruising by on an easy schedule this year. So
that's facts.
They've proved a lot of people wrong, and including me, because like I said, going into this year, I mean.
Who would have thought?
Yeah,
honestly, like Indiana beating Oregon, like.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I've said it once, say it again. Kurt Signetti. I mean, I think he's the hottest name in coaching right now.
Factuals.
And thankfully for Indiana, they just signed him to a massive extension, so he'll be there. I believe it was an 8-year extension, over $100 million. So Indiana fans rejoice. You got a good one for a while. But yeah, moving on from that game, that we all saw what happened. USC and Nebraska. Obviously I predicted USC. I think this is the one loss you had.
Yeah, this is the one loss, and I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it was a great game though. It was very close. I mean, it wasn't
I actually predicted the score prediction for this game actually really close, but except I had 21-13 and the actual game was 21-17. I was really that close. I was like, ain't that a coincidence?
It was one of those games I saw being kind of a mid-tier scoring outing for, low 20s, high teens type of thing.
Right.
I figured it would be a close game. Like I said, it kind of reigned true. I thought that this USC defense, could do a lot to pressure and get to Dylan Raiola.
Right.
Like I said, Nebraska's offensive line has not been great this year, and they showed that with all the pressures and hurrying Dylan Raiola they had. And I've just figured, and it rang true, that the USC offense was more potent. They had more firepower. And, although it didn't result in a large scoring outing, they did ultimately do enough to go out and get the win over them.
Right.
So not much to say about that one. Still a great game, though. But moving on into our last game we predicted. Want to get into Oklahoma versus Tennessee. Now, this was a really good game.
It was. I'm not going to lie to you.
Obviously I think we both predicted Oklahoma. And, I wanted to pick Tennessee. I wanted to really bad. But something about Oklahoma, with John Mateer and that defense, it's hard to pick against them. Even after I picked them the week prior versus Ole Miss and they lost.
Right. Something
about them, they're just that team I just have no problem betting on. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, don't bet, guys. Sports gambling's bad. I would pretty often bet on Oklahoma. I just think they're one of those teams, they can just go out and get it done. They have all the intangibles you need. They have a great coach. Amazing elite defense, great explosive, receivers, and they have a great running game, great running quarterback.
Right.
Very elusive. Just checks all the boxes in my head, and especially I think with John Mateer kind of getting back into the swing of things after his broken hand injury, he obviously sustained earlier in the year. It wasn't a shocker to me. Obviously, I picked them, but really happy to go out. I mean, I've kind of turned into a little bit of an Oklahoma fan. Just they're fun to watch.
You're not a fan. You're just a believer.
I'm good. Yeah, that's right.
You're just
that's
a believer.
Right. Good catch. I'm a believer. But great game though. And what were your thoughts on this one?
So like I said last week with this game, I really like Oklahoma's defense. Like I don't know. Like I said, I really wanted Tennessee, but something about Oklahoma, like I don't know. It's just like poison. You just got to pick them.
Yeah.
But like I said last week, defense wins games. But overall, though, I really have like John Mateer overall in this game, honestly.
Yeah. That's the notes right there, John Mateer.
That's just the notes, just straight right there, just John Mateer, that.
But excited to see how the rest of these teams finish out the year. But that's going to do it for our recap of last week's predictions. And obviously in a couple of segments, we're going to get to our predictions for this week. But next, we're going to have our trivia section, and we have a lot of fun questions to bring in and ask each other. And, hopefully you guys will play along at home. But join us for that in a moment. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by Johnny Felder. And once again, another week and another trivia section for you guys. Our favorite segment of the week, maybe, unless you just really love the predictions and recaps.
Or you just really boring.
We just have so much fun doing this. So this week we kind of have a little bit more of a smorgasbord, if you will, of questions. We don't have a specific theme. We just wanted to bring in some general college football trivia. I don't know what he's going to have. He doesn't know what I'm going to have. It can be having to do with players, teams, logos, stats, what have you. But either way, we both brought in 5 questions for each other, and we were just really excited to get into this, Johnny.
Yes, we are.
All right, so starting this off, I'll let you start. How about that? I feel like I usually start.
All right. So the first question is, what college football team has the most all-time wins?
I have the same question. Michigan. It's Michigan. Okay, we'll go down to 4 questions. That's all right. That was my first question as well.
Wow.
Okay, so we must have great minds think alike, I guess. All right. Let's see if you have this one. Okay, I'll go to my second one. Which team hint, it's 2 teams are tied, have the most Heisman winners, and either one will do.
Which team?
Which team / teams, because the 2 are tied for the most, have the most Heisman winners.
Okay.
One will do, but if you can give me both, that'd be really.
All right, let me get a hint for.
And we'll kind of do like a 3-guess strike.
Oh, all right. So we can't get no hints at all.
No.
Oh, so you're playing like that now. That's how you really feel?
If you get 3 guesses, no hints.
All right. Georgia and Alabama?
No.
Who? USC.
Yep, that's one of them.
Oh.
Try one. So you got. I'll give you that.
All right.
Try and get the other one.
All right. So is this one in the Big Ten or anything like that?
Actually, independent.
Notre Dame.
Okay, yeah, Notre Dame. They're both tied for 7, by the way. 7.
That's crazy.
And you know, sometimes you don't think about those teams where they were dominant in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
You know, a lot of their Heismans and stuff were racked up back then.
Most
You know,
definitely.
because I mean, who was the last Notre Dame player to win a Heisman? Not in this
Man.
century, right?
Manti Te'o, probably.
Te'o.
Yeah.
He was a nominee, but he didn't win. But yeah, I don't think there have been any winners this century. But whatever. Anyways, moving on. Go ahead. Good job on that one.
Who is the winningest coach in college football history?
Are you gonna give me 3 guesses?
I will.
Bear Bryant.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I did. I knew that. I don't even know why I needed to. Okay. Cool. I almost wanted to say Nick Saban for whatever reason.
I was about to say, if you say Nick Saban, bro, we got some real life issues right now.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh, it's mine.
Come on, man.
Sorry. All right. This is a name the player.
Name the player.
I'm gonna give you some facts, and you're gonna name the player.
Okay.
This player transferred from Virginia Tech to Tennessee in 2021.
2021.
Where he finished 5th in Heisman voting in 2022, where he threw for 3,100 yards and 27 touchdowns.
You say he transferred from Virginia Tech and he went to Tennessee.
Yeah. Finished 5th in the Heisman voting in 2022.
Hendon Hooker.
Yep.
Man, listen, that boy been a dog.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you.
He was until South Carolina shattered his ACL. Oh, it was a non-contact, whatever. Let me stop.
Why you playing like that?
I know. Good one though.
Man, my next question. What are the 5 major post games in college football? The 5 major ones.
Good one. Cotton Bowl. Is that one?
That's one.
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl.
Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl. You're almost there, bro. You almost got it.
Is it the Capital One Bowl?
No.
Oh, wait.
Bro, you almost got it.
I know.
You got 2 more strikes.
Oh. Wait, what did I name? Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl.
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl. And Rose Bowl. Oh, what is it?
You got one more.
What is it? Dude, I can't even think. I know it's not the Outback Bowl, but I'll name it.
That's one, man. Why?
Is that it?
No.
Oh, what?
That's a strike. That's a strike.
Oh, okay.
You got
dang.
one more. You got one more, bro.
And I know it's a huge one.
You would
dude, I can't think of it.
All right.
What
man.
is it?
It's the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, okay.
It's the Fiesta Bowl,
I don't
man.
even know if I would have got that, just because like I don't associate that with the big ones like that. I feel like the Fiesta Bowl is a little bit like Rose Bowl is up here, Fiesta Bowl is right here.
It's still major though.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one though. That was very good, but got that one wrong. Dang it.
Come on, man. Lock in. Lock in, man.
All right. Now we got Which school, and this is only one school, has produced the most first-round draft picks in college football history?
Produced Alabama?
No.
Produced the most first-round draft picks. It has to be an SEC school, bro. It's Georgia.
No.
What? That's 2 strikes. Michigan.
No.
what's the
USC again. USC again, which I didn't even, I didn't look, doing research for this, I did not know that.
Bro,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Double whammy in the same episode, USC.
Ooh.
Now you'll know a lot about USC coming out of this episode. So, okay.
All right,
I guess getting to your last question.
Yeah, man, that junk just kind of had blew me. Like, USC again.
I would have thought it'd be Alabama, to be honest, but.
The Trojans, really. But anyways, what is the Rose Bowl known for in college football history?
Like, I mean, that's a little bit of a vague. Is there a specific answer?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll give it to you like this.
Well,
here.
no. I mean,
When was the first Rose Bowl game played?
okay.
I had to give you a hard one for your last one, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You got three answers, bro.
Tell me how hot or cold I am when I answer.
I got you.
1965.
You're definitely cold.
I'm hearing laughter from every direction. Okay. Let me go further. Let me go 1920.
You're cold still.
Okay.
You got one more.
1988.
What?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
When was the first Rose Bowl game played?
Yeah, I'll tell you. It was 1902.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We literally just
I
had
really
a
don't know the
crisis.
history of the Rose Bowl like that. Thank you for educating me on that.
Try to tell you.
I that is something I've never even crossed my head. That's crazy.
This was funny.
Okay. Fair enough. You guys got me. Dang it. Got to do my research on the Rose Bowl, guys. All right. Last one for you. This one should be a little bit of a tough one. Vanderbilt only has a winning record over one SEC school. Which school?
What? Repeat that question again.
Vanderbilt,
Right.
all time,
Only
have a winning record versus one SEC school. And what school is that?
Arkansas?
Nope.
It can be the Razorbacks. South Carolina?
Nope.
Oh my God, Texas A&M?
Nope.
What?
Auburn. Yep.
How though?
Don't ask me. I'm just the messenger.
War damn Eagle?
Huh?
War damn Eagle though? Like,
You hate to see it. That
Vandy?
was a tough one though. That would have been.
Vandy?
Yeah. Oh well, but yeah, tough one there. But that's gonna do it for our trivia segment. Think we had a lot of fun with that one. Both brought in some pretty hard ones, so we saw some interesting results there. But
yeah,
that's gonna do it for that. Had a lot of fun, Johnny. But now we're going to get into our predictions for this week in the next segment. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by Johnny Felder, as always. And as always, we are here to give you our predictions for this week's big games for you. We have a interesting slate of games this week.
Right.
I think we don't have a lot of high octane big, top 10 matchups, but we do have some big potential upsets, in my opinion.
Right.
But we do want to start off with one that is a top 10 matchup, and that will be BYU versus Texas Tech. Really interesting game here. We have BYU, who was 8-0.
Right.
Texas Tech, who was 8-1. This Texas Tech team, I'd be lying if I said I've seen a whole lot of stuff on this BYU team. I'm a little more in the dark with them, but I do know, however, how Texas Tech's offense has just dominated this year, how they've just rolled through most every opponent with just crazy offensively, which, they've always been more of a high-octane offense, explosive.
Right.
And you see that this year, especially with their quarterback, Brett Moore. He's really, really talented, put up crazy stats. Overall, this is just a team that, and I've said this before, they really rebuilt and revamped their roster through the transfer portal.
Right.
They brought in so many weapons. They just have so much to hurt you with offensively and defensively. They're not too shabby on that end either. Although, like I said, their offense kind of is the main selling point with this team. But tell me a little bit about BYU and why maybe they have a great chance in this game.
Well, first off, being Bear Bushmeyer, their whole offense really runs through him. And if he can really get going in the first half, then he's really good for the rest of the game pretty much. He just has to get that confidence booster. But see, here's the thing about BYU. They really were suspect whenever they played Iowa State, and that kind of really just made me kind of iffy off them a little bit, just to hop off that BYU train for say pretty much, I'll say. But overall, though, if Bear Bushmeyer in the offense can get started early, then I believe they have a chance against this Texas Tech team.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I still think they're a very talented team. I just haven't been wowed by anything they've done. Besides that freshman quarterback, he is really talented.
Right.
I think he's going to be a star if he's not already emerging as one now. But with that being said, I do have Texas Tech in this game. I just don't see their BYU doing a lot to stop that offense. I think they're going to go out and score a lot of points. I think their defense might let up a lot of points as well. So overall, I'm feeling like a 45-20-31 type of game. I feel like it could be something like that, but I do have Texas Tech in this one.
I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely agree that Texas Tech has more weapons and know what to do with all those weapons in this game as far as BYU. But like I said, you don't count out BYU, though. You never know what could happen in this game, but I really have Texas Tech winning this game. And I'll say like a 45-35 type of game. BYU is really not no slouch, though, but I'll just say they really just been really kind of suspect look as of late. So I don't know pretty much.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's the way I think we both kind of got a good feel for that one. But moving on, I don't want to do it, but Georgia versus Mississippi State. I don't know. I don't know why I said it like that.
I had to cover my eyes for it. I'm sorry. I had to cover my eyes.
I say that because I'm really just feeling like making a just bold prediction and taking Mississippi State. Looking at this year, they've been kind of the giant killer this year. Although, they've kind of got up to the Giants' throat and the Giants kind of flicked them off, so to speak. They've been in a lot of these huge games, almost pulling off huge upsets and just falling short near the end. But every single game, they have been competitive. They have been, dominant in some games. And this just looks like a completely different Mississippi State team this year.
Right.
A team that won 2 games won 2 games last year, won 0 conference games. This just looks like a whole different team. Jeff Lebby over there, he has just revamped these guys. He has them playing hard, playing discipline, and with the absolute, just hard schedule they have. You know, what they've done this year has really impressed me. And, you know, obviously we know what Georgia is. We know what they do every year. I don't need to go into everything, you know, they need to do to win this game. It's more about Mississippi State and if they are going to continue to come out week in and week out and play like they have, like they did against Tennessee, like they did against Texas, although those games ended in losses. Right. You know, those are games they were in prime position to win. Can they keep it close with a Georgia team like this and, you know, not only keep it close but do just enough in the end to get the win? I don't know. But I am going to pick Mississippi State in this one. I don't know. I got a gut feeling this week is just kind of a massive upset week. I think it's getting in that point of the year where people, just when you think your ballots are set for the college football playoff, you know, a team like Mississippi State can come in and wreck everything. So I really think it's getting to that point of the year where we're going to see something like this happen. And, you know, I could be wrong. Regardless, I think it'll be a good game, but I'm going with my gut here. And I'll have Mississippi State winning, you know, give it 27-24 type of game.
Right.
I think it'll be a really good game. But
I definitely had to cover my face up for this one because it's really just one of those games that I really could potentially see an upset about. And before even this show began, we already talked about this game beforehand. And you already said, like, this is the week for potential upsets. And I really see this game as an upset game. I really like what Mississippi State got going on, especially recruiting. I don't know, like, if you pay attention to X, formerly known as Twitter or whatnot, but their recruiting, it's up to par. Like, it's really valid in all departments. But pretty much, though, I really like what Mississippi State has going on over there, pretty much. And they really have been close in proximity with these giants, you say, pretty much. And I really have Mississippi State winning. And the score prediction for this game, I'll say a 35-31 type of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's pretty close to what I think is going to happen. I think it'll, regardless of what happens, I just know it'll be a good game.
But
two very well-coached teams.
I'll say this, though. I'll definitely say this. I don't want to get no hate for this or whatnot, but Mississippi State and Arkansas is just alike. But here's the difference. The difference between them, Mississippi State knows how to close out a game pretty much. And Arkansas stays in the game, but they just don't know how to close it out.
Yeah. And
pretty much that's what I'm really just trying to say. I really feel like Mississippi State can really close out this game against Georgia.
Yeah, I hope so for the sake of our predictions, but
Please.
We will see. But moving on to another huge potential upset game, Indiana versus Penn State. Now, going into this year, this was seen as one of the early games or early predictions for a really good game. Right. You know, at the time, obviously this was before Penn State was a 3-5 football team. This was when they were a top 5 team. Obviously, vastly different outlook compared to the beginning of the year. And, you know, I don't think anybody predicted Indiana to be this good. So the whole narrative is just flipped on its head as far as this game goes.
Right.
I'm still really up in the air about this one. You know, like I said, you know, with Mississippi State, Georgia, I think this is the critical point of the year where you either, you know, you're floating up here and these lower level teams are just trying to drag you down with them, you know, and go out and get a huge upset win. I mean, you always see it at this time of the year. You know, it's just bound to happen to one of these teams.
Right.
Now, and the way I look at this one, you know, this Indiana team has just looked invincible. You know, do no wrong. They're undefeated, number 2 in the country. And, you know, on the flip side, this Penn State team has just watched their hopes and dreams crumble before them, lost their coach, had some of the worst losses of this whole year. But at the end of the day, this Penn State roster is still loaded with talent. I think they are desperate. I think they're disgruntled. I think they're angry. And I think you're going to see that on the field, versus, you think they're not going to be fired up to take on Indiana, who a team that they probably think they're better than.
Yeah.
They probably do think, if you look at, roster-wise, you could argue that Penn State has a lot more talent.
Yeah.
While Indiana has done a lot more with what they have, and they're more well coached, obviously.
Facts.
This team still isn't going to go into this game thinking that they have no shot, and that's what should scare Indiana and Indiana fans. Ultimately, I do have a hard time picking against Indiana.
Don't do it.
I don't want to do it.
Don't do it, man.
And I'm not going to. So I'm
please.
gonna go with Indiana. I think it'll be close in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think Indiana will pull away at the end. I think it'll be maybe give me 34-20. I think it could be something like that. I think we could see it going into half, maybe 14-14, 17-17.
I definitely agree
mark my
with you
words on that. We'll see how correct that is. Maybe, but yeah, I do have Indiana getting the win.
I definitely agree with you on that. There's really not much to really say about this game as in particular because I ain't gonna lie, I'm riding the Indiana train. There's really not much to say in this game. Curcinetti as a coach has really just revamped his roster as a whole. The last 2 seasons, Indiana has really just proven to be one of those ones. I'll say that, honestly. And it's so crazy. Watching Penn State's fall pretty much is like Thanos. World's just crumbling just in front of him.
Yeah.
It's just like that pretty much for that game. But overall, though, I really feel like Indiana will smoothly win this game. I'll say like a 28-14 type of game. I'll say that. I'll say that it's really going to be a really close first half, but the second half, I believe that defense will tell a tale and offense will tell a tale for Indiana, and they will close out the game against Penn State.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll just see. We'll just see how that goes. Excited for that one, but. Moving on, we have Texas A&M, Missouri. This is a game, really interesting game. I've seen a lot of these two teams. They're both very talented teams, obviously. Right. Texas A&M, it seems that they finally broken through whatever, just cosmic entity has been holding them back for like a decade.
Right.
Year in and year out, they're one of the best. They'll have the best recruiting classes. Obviously based out of Texas, they have the most talent. Some of the most talent right around them in their backyard. So it's kind of been frustrating for fans, or kind of just weird to see that they have not been better than they have been. There's the joke that, they go 8-4 every single year, which, for a while that was true.
They don't lie.
And it's, it's a narrative for a reason. But this year you've just seen them, take the top off of defenses. You've seen them, clamp down defensively and just shut opponents down. Mike Elko has done a great job with this team. He's really just brought the best out of them in this program, and it's really cool to see Texas A&M finally kind of get the ball rolling and finally be an actual contender. It feels like year in and year out they're pretenders, so to speak. This year they're a contender. It's kind of cool to see. On the flip side with Missouri, I think they're a great football team. I do. But they still have some issues, I think that are going to be hard to overcome in this game. With a great running game like they have, I feel like they can be a little one-dimensional as far as the run game goes, or just offensively with, leaning on the run so heavily. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Bo Prabula get injured? He may be out for a couple of weeks or the year.
I don't know.
Check me if I'm wrong on that. Mm-hmm. I could be completely wrong. I hope I'm not, but I think I did see something about that. And overall, I just think, roster-wise, talent-wise, Texas A&M is a better football team. And this year, I think they've been more well coached. So I do have Texas A&M in this one. kind of without too much thought about it. I don't see this one being an upset. So I'm going to go with Texas A&M 38, Missouri 20. So I think it could be something like that.
So I really like this game right here. Not only is a big playoff implication game, but it's also a conference game. The SEC conference game that is really big at the end of the year, especially at the end of the season. With Texas A&M, I really believe that they can really go out and really just dominate this Missouri defense pretty much. I believe Marcel Reed will have his breakout game against Missouri and really expose their defense. And as for Missouri, I really feel like honestly they're going to struggle in this game, and they're just going to have to pretty much just claw back in this game. But I really feel like Texas A&M is going to be too much for them to handle. And I really feel like Texas A&M is going to rise smoothly in this game. And I'll give it like a 45 to 20 type of game.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
That's fair. I mean, I definitely obviously agree with what you said. We both have Texas A&M in this one. I doubt there's going to be a lot going on with that one. But, it's the SEC. We could be completely wrong. Missouri still is a very talented team. So we'll just see about that one. But getting into our final game, final prediction of the week, we have LSU versus Alabama. This is always just a huge game. Usually this one has a little more implications than it does this year, obviously, for LSU kind of being out of the playoff hunt now. Alabama's still firmly sitting, in the top 5, number 4 actually,
right,
and looking to close out this year and get back to the playoffs after they, missed for the first time in a while last year. They're making me want to do something I don't want to do again.
Talk to us.
Obviously Alabama having a crazy great season. Looking at them after week 1 losing to Florida State like they did, I think that got the boys going. They got hit in the mouth, as you like to say. They got punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And they've responded very well since then. You see, obviously they're on an 8-game winning streak, coming out of that one with a handful of huge wins. Looking at this team, obviously very talented. Ty Simpson is looking like this year being the best quarterback in the nation. 22 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's just been surgical on that side of the ball. And looking at their defense also does a lot. They're obviously very talented. Alabama's always going to be very talented on that side of the ball. They recruit well, they play well, they are coached well. Everything about Alabama is true. But on the flip side, I think Alabama has shown some weakness. If you look at a game like South Carolina a couple of weeks ago, they narrowly scraped out of that one, with a win, albeit they did win. But, they're not some, perfect, specimen of a team. They still have a lot of issues. And certainly LSU has a lot of issues. And we've seen that, obviously, with the firing of Brian Kelly and their lackluster season. But this is one of those games regardless. I feel like these big rivalry games, they're always just good games. You look at Alabama and Georgia every single year it's going to be a great game.
Right.
You look at Georgia, Florida, every year it's going to be a good game. This rings true for a lot of games. So I see this being a really good game throughout. Go ahead before I say what I'm going to say.
You really want me to say it?
I just want to know your thoughts.
I honestly, for this game, for this game, truth be told, I say Bama's still going to win the game.
I'm definitely.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm having a ride with the Bama train.
I'm looking at this game, and you know what? I'll throw it out there. I am going to pick LSU in this one.
What?
For the main point, a lot of times, they're coming off of a bye week,
right?
Where their bye week before, the week before they fired their coach. I feel like this is just going to be a different look than we're used to seeing this year. I think these guys are going to have just an insatiable hunger to go out there and prove everybody wrong. I mean, you got to think, like I said before, they're mad, they're angry, just like Penn State. They're angry, they probably hate that Brian Kelly got fired. They're probably like, oh, it's our, I just know they want nothing more than to go out and just like flip this narrative on its head. And who better to do it against than Alabama, top 5 game, huge rival. I mean, all the stars are kind of aligning for this to happen. And, going into this year, let's not act like Alabama does not have a uber talented roster.
Right.
Looking at all they picked up in the transfer portal on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I mean, just looking around the team athletically, they are on par with Alabama.
Right.
I just think, obviously, Alabama has done a much better job of utilizing that. But looking at this LSU team, how are they going to come out and look different? How, what schemes are going to be different? How are these guys going to gel together now that they're under new management, so to speak? So I'm really excited for this one. I could look like an idiot. Sometimes I do. But I just, like I said, once again, it's that point of the year where games like this are going to happen. Teams are going to fall that were riding high, riding into the sunset of college football playoffs. And, there's these teams that are going to bring them down crashing and burning. And I think this could be one that we see this happening. But, either way, I think it could be a really, like a 28-24 type of game. I don't know. I see LSU coming out with the win on this, and that's what I'm gonna roll with it.
I definitely liked everything that you really had said, especially like putting everything into perspective as far as LSU coming off a bye week, especially with possibly a new scheme and just how they're approaching this game. You said it yourself. They're hungry. They're angry. They're sort of they're really, really mad at this point during the season, because you never know. A lot of those players could be mad that Brian Kelly could have gotten fired or whatnot. But I'm still riding Alabama for some reason. I really like Ty Simpson overall in this offense, but I really feel like, though, defense will play a key factor for both teams in this game. And I really have this being a defensive game. And my score prediction for this game being Alabama, I'll say 35-20 type of game. I'll say that.
That's fair. I mean, you're definitely not in the wrong for picking Alabama to win. If anything, I'm just going out on a limb here. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel it. Just feel it in my bones. Just one of those things. But, we'll see. Very excited for this week's games, obviously, and we will get these, recaps to you, obviously, next week when we all see what happens. But that's going to do it for our prediction segment. Next, obviously, we're going to close out the show with our Newberry predictions as they, have a huge game. They sit at 8-1. Anyways, we'll get to that in the next segment. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by Johnny Felder as always. Now we're going to close out the show. We're going to get these predictions for the Newberry versus Carson Newman game. Now this has huge implications, obviously. As I mentioned previously, Newberry sitting at 8-1, firmly in the driver's seat in the South Atlantic Conference. And you're looking at Barton, not Barton.
Not Barton, man.
Carson Newman, sorry. Barton Newman, yeah, whatever. Looking at Carson Newman, I believe they're second in the conference, and this could shake up a lot of things. With a win, Newberry would get an automatic bid to the NCAA playoffs, and also, they would clinch the SAC title, which would be their third this decade. Huge game for Newberry.
Right.
If they want, just the ultimate, shocker of a year already after going 3-7 last year. This would just be the perfect way to just close out this year And, obviously if they lose this game, their
Right.
year's not over. But, this would just be the Cinderella ending to the story, So what are you looking for in this game?
So what I'm really looking for in this game in particular, I really look for Newberry's offense to get electrifying early, as to firing Keith Deshisher to get him fired up. Quezzy Spells, Kemaine Brunson running the ball, get everybody juices flowing in that game to, get the team going. And then as for the defense, get those stops, get everything done as this game goes along. And as for Carson Newman, no diss to them, but who really still runs the triple option offense? This is really not high school no more. There's no diss to them, but there's no way around it. If it worked, you can't do nothing about it pretty much. But overall, though,
it's one of those offenses where if you execute it well, it's very, very hard to stop.
Yeah, like I don't know how they still do it, but it's just like, I don't know.
You got to have the personnel for it,
right?
So yeah.
But overall, though, I really feel like Newberry's defense can contain this Carson Newman's offense in this game, and I really feel like Newberry will smoothly clinch the title and win this game with the score of 35-14.
Wow. Yeah, I sure hope so. That would be a huge way to close off the year. Either way, we're really excited to see this game. If you're on Newberry College campus, obviously come out and watch that game. That's going to be a huge one. And we are just so excited and so proud of these Newberry Wolves this year, regardless if they win or not. It's been a great year. It's been a pleasure to watch it and cover it here, briefly as we do at the end of every show. But either way, we'll get that. Obviously the results of that to you next week. And, hopefully we're bragging about a win and a conference title. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host Tucker Moore, joined by Johnny Felder, and join us next week for more First Down Fridays. All right. Beautiful. I think that was very good.
Yeah.